Sammy Chaos, and you're checking out the 3 Count Podcast. Welcome.
Do you wanna get live with me? Do you really wanna ride with me? I'm in the club, baby, grind on me.
Welcome, everybody, to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up a mountain called wrestling. And, after season 5 or 380-something episode, I would just hope you say it with me. I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficient than you can. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring? Well, you can find her at PVW, BST, Project Codename, PPW, NYWC, Kaiju Pro, PAPW, OCW, ACW, and Let's Wrestle. And that's all just within the last couple years. She is a powerhouse. She is feared. She is a harvester of sorrow. She is Sammi Chaos.
Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna have you announce me everywhere I go, I think.
I feel like that's the I don't know. It's weird because recently I was at a show and I felt like I've heard like great like MCs, like guys who just get the crowd fired up, and I've heard some really bad MCs, and I'm like, I have to have like Rich Palladino, like shout outs to him. That energy is what I want, right? I want to get that kind of energy. But I've met some people who are just like, hey, welcome to the show. Your first match is scheduled for one fall. And I'm like, first of all, why do you sound like that?
Monotone, dude. Like,
yeah, you're supposed to get this crowd hyped, and you're over here like, hey, how are you guys feeling tonight? Like, yo,
okay, I know they're supposed to hype everybody up before we come out. What the hell?
Like, what are you practicing for a eulogy? Like, chill out, bro.
Bro, like,
match up this energy, bro. Like, you're supposed to be there, and I get it too, right? Like, everybody has their roles, and like MCs, like your announcers, are not usually supposed to be the person who get over, right? But when you look at someone like right now in the wrestling business, like Samantha Irvin, right, in WWE, like she gets the crowd hype. I enjoy watching wrestling because I hear her announcements, right? Especially that part where she's like, Chelsea,
yes,
I
love that so much.
But then I look at other people too. Like you have your announce team. Like I really got back into SmackDown because of Pat McAfee.
Mm-hmm.
And then now watching Raw, like him for 3 hours. And I know he's hit or miss. You either love him or you hate him. But I love it because I think he adds to the show like the fan perspective, like what we're all thinking, he just says it, and I'm here for it.
It validates what we're all thinking about.
Right. Whenever time Braun comes out and he's like, that big son of a bitch. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought the first time I ever saw him. Yo, so we can talk about all that stuff another time. But you and I we met at Focus Pro. We actually met at Kaiju. We met at a couple different places. And then we have one like major connection to each other, and that is Travis. Like everybody's favorite commission.
Oh
right?
My God, that dude. Yeah.
Oh my God. He's just a whole different character. And I remember like when he first started, we were in the ring together, and I remember he told me, he's like, I just want to be a manager. I just want to I'll just learn to take manager bumps, but I want to do all the roles and start getting better. And then like as I just saw like he took his first bump, like I just saw his little twitch inside, and I was like, oh my God, he's totally gonna fight. He's gonna be here. And so
awesome.
then
as annoying as he is, like he's awesome.
he has everything down. Like I genuinely pop about his character side of things because like I remember when he was like, I want to be an annoying manager, and then anybody who wants to know the story, I'm gonna tell it from my perspective. I'm sure Travis has his own, but I remember like sitting there listening to. We were talking about so Maryland has a state athletic commission, and I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
Right. Especially being at ACW. But yeah, so they have the state athletic commission, and the old state athletic commission who recently retired, and I say recently as in like a year and a half ago, who retired, was just one of the strictest dudes, period, on some things that just didn't make sense. Right. Some things I could kind of get away with, right? Like he's like, I don't want to see any pile drivers or any DDTs because you might break your neck. And we're like, weird, weird
Okay.
flex, but okay, whatever. I
Right.
don't want no blood on my shows. Like, I don't know if you know, but at one time, Kenny Omega and John Moxley were blackballed from Maryland. They were
I
like, do not let well, because of their match at Full Gear. You know,
yeah.
they had the match where they busted each other open, and so they got banned. Like, we're like, oh, bruh, these are the two biggest dudes in wrestling. You're not banning these guys.
Yeah.
No one's gonna go watch the show.
Good try. Good try.
But yeah, so when our trainer was talking about a character, he was talking about this dude, and Travis was like, "Oh man, it'd be great." And so a lot of stuff that Travis said, this was things that the state athletic commissioner was actually doing. Like, he was actually saying these things, and so it's so much fun to watch Travis just kind of like express
Embrace
himself
it.
out with that.
It's amazing. Like, my favorite thing is when he just hands people like demerits. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, he just becomes the character. It's so fun to watch.
He and he has like a little, and what's so fun is that a lot of kids are like dressing up as him and like going to these shows, and then they're always like, "That's right."
Have this catchphrase, like, it's amazing.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig it a whole bunch. But like we've kind of got to know each other and got to bond over a couple of wrestling matches and stuff like that. Uh, but I've never asked this question. So I'm gonna ask it here. Who is Sammy Chaos?
Who is Sammy Chaos? She is the elevated version of my actual self. So she's just a bitch. She's just a condescending powerhouse, just constantly annoyed by anybody's presence, like, and she just wants to hurt people. So not that I want to hurt people in real life, but like I think it was Chris Jericho who like said it best. The best character is just you turned up to like 1,000.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I try to do. I take on a completely different persona, but I mean, it's also part of me and like who I am. So it's like, yeah, I work a corporate job and I just want to be condescending and sarcastic all day. So I can't. So I take it out on everybody else.
That's like, you know what's so funny is that like we all like want to exemplify, or I don't want to say exemplify. We want to turn up that one part of our personality that we don't really get to show off as much. And like I always think about like it was funny. So and this would be like me adding into like where my character comes from too. I was
Mhm.
listening to I don't know if you're familiar with the podcast I Hear Voices.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it was the very first episode, and Will Friedle and Chrissy Carlson Romano had the dude who currently does the voice of Bugs Bunny. I forget his name. My apologies. Someone in the comments will put it in there. They'll tell me like I can't
Someone will
believe
know.
Mel Blanc. Okay, that's my Bugs Bunny. Anyway, so he was talking about how his characters all live in the same house, but they're in different levels, and so like his Bugs Bunny is like in level 1, but his Tweety Bird is at the top of the attic. And I think about those characters as far as like Red Dog goes, right? So when you meet Cliff, right? Cliff's at the bottom floor. This is me. Like I just kind of chill out. Like
Hey,
I'm the same dude. But then like you meet Podcast Cliff and it's like, hey, what's going on, everybody? Yeah, this is me. But then you meet like Red Dog and it's like, hi, like super high pitched, super annoying. And I always think about how much fun it is to be that character because like I tell people all the time, especially where I work at, I'm like, listen, like I do, so when I'm a personal trainer and I do like 45-minute sessions and 60-minute sessions, and I encourage everybody do 45-minute sessions. And they're like, why? Why would I pay you for the hour? It's like an extra 20% that I can get just working out with you. I was like, listen, I don't even want to be around me for an hour.
I'm a lot. Like,
And
that's
so
hilarious.
I try to translate that into the ring where I'm like I get upset because I don't get to take it out on I can't take it out on clients. It's like I can't hit somebody with a spine buster,
Right.
right? So I do it in the ring. I do it with somebody. I just throw them into
Yes.
the ground. I get mad. I'm like, you should have done one more rep, asshole.
You had one left in you.
You had one left, just like you did right now. But it's funny. I think about that too all the time. Where I'm like, yo, I just want to just one of these days, I just want to pick you up and just drop you and just see what happens.
Let's see what happens. What do you do? How do you respond?
Yeah. Do you sell or do you just get away from me?
Like, dead, dead after that.
No, but it's an interesting perspective because like we all talk about like I think about it too the same way. Like I want to turn up my hilariousness, my comedy side, but also like me just jokingly with people. I want to turn it up to like an 11, just go over the top with everything. So it's funny to hear you talk about yeah, I work in a corporate job. I sit down all day and I just want to
All
beat the
day.
hell out of people.
Yes, exactly. Funny because like I'm a clown in like real life, like fucking insane. And my character, Sammy Chaos, is like so not a clown, but I still try to inject like comedy into what I do, whether it's like being in the ring and like targeting a fan and like either doing a face or like gesturing funny. Like people respond to stuff like that and they don't expect it, which I love. So it's just
Yeah, it's one of those things where I like to do, where like if I'm working as a baby face, like I'll get thrown on a rope and I'll
yeah.
look for like a random kid in the crowd and I'll reach out and be like, "Yo, tag me in, tag me." It's not a
Yeah.
tag me, it's a one on one, and no one else knows that. But I'm like reaching out, and I remember this one time, like I guess apparently I was selling it way too well, right? That I was really being choked. And I
Hmm.
reached out, and there was this little girl in the crowd, and I reached out, and I was like, "Yo, tag me in, help me! He's beating me up!" And like trying to grab the rope and like pull away from me. And so the little girl like crawled into her dad, right? And when we were at intermission and I was just, selling merch, just being
Yeah.
me, this little girl comes running up and gives me this big hug and breaks down crying.
Oh,
And for me, so for those who know, right, I have a daughter. Sammy just got to see her too on the video Runaway. uh so instantly I character mode gets shut off and dad mode comes into play. I'm like, yo, you okay? Where's your dad? Where's your parents? Is everything fine? And then
hmm.
her dad walks up to me and goes, I have never seen her walk up to a stranger and hug him before, let alone cry. And I was like, oh, so then I just get down on one knee and I'm just like
Yeah.
instant turn back on. Oh, well, we totally beat that guy up. You were there helping me, right? And she was like, I was, yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. She goes, I was so scared. I wanted to help, but he was so big and he was beating you up.
I love that. See, that's got to be validating. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I did a good job selling
But she'll never forget. She'll never forget the night that Red Dog was getting choked on the ropes.
forever.
But
Awesome.
yes, I love the fact that you love to get involved because it's one thing that we talk about a lot, and I've talked about it numerous times on the show. It's that genuine connection that you got to have with the crowd, and like you're pulling all this emotion out of them, and sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses, but
Right.
nine nine times out of 10, the crowd is either loving you or hating you.
Which both are fine. Both. I welcome both.
Yeah, it's fun because like at the last show I saw you at, which was Focus Pro and the IGB, the Intergender Bonanza. You there was a moment where like I forget, like I think you were outside and I think Mark had chopped you and this little boy was just like,
Yeah.
oh, you shouldn't have done that. And
You
you just stared at it. The little
should.
boy looked like he was worried for Mark.
Yeah,
Like,
should be.
he was just like, oh.
I love that so much. Like I've been, like as I progress, I try to interact with the crowd more and more. But like I remember first starting out, I didn't even realize the crowd was there. I'm like, I'm worried about what I'm doing in here, like let alone what y'all are doing. Like, but that's become part of like maybe like my favorite part is like interacting with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's fun. I remember like another one of my favorite fan interactions. I was the bad guy at this place, right? Mind you, this is crazy, right? So just for those who want to stamp this right. It's June 20th, right, when we're recording this. I just want to put that out there. So a couple years ago, I was at what was called AFRAM in Baltimore, right? It's the African American Arts and Music.
Hmm.
Um, and we're and C3W, which was this black owned promotion. Shout outs to those guys. Myself and my friend Chaz were working at this match. Mind you, I'm light skinned, right? My man is black, and we go to the ring, and there's one fan out there who she is instantly on my side. I don't know why,
He
but
needs
she's
to
on my side.
love
And
it.
Chaz came out and she booed him. And Chaz was like, "What are you booing me for?" She's like, "I don't like you." No idea why, right?
No idea.
But what made it funny was I got thrown into like the barricade, and like the little girl was like, she was trying to reach in to tag me because she understood. She was trying to tag me
Yeah.
to get in the match to like mess up Chaz. And then she told Chaz later on the night, she walked up to him and she was like, you know what? I'm gonna get big and strong. I'm gonna fight you and I'm gonna beat you up. And I was like, that's my fan.
She's mine. Sorry.
Yeah, you can't have her. I
Right.
brought her over to the dark side. Or at this point, the light side. I'm not quite sure on the story part, but yeah.
Right.
But yo, so I gotta know. So what was the moment that you decided, all right, I'm gonna get into the business?
So I got into it late. I'm not like a lot of these younger people out here. But I was sorry to say it, but I was drunk one night and I was very bored with my life. I've been working. I mean, I used to have a whole bunch of jobs, but like I've been working corporate for a while now, and I'm like, this can't be it. You know what I mean? Like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like writing emails, and we'll circle back to this. I'm like, that's not my life. Absolutely not. And I just remember just making a decision. I was like, you know what? Tomorrow morning, when I'm sober, I'm going to Google like wrestling schools. I was like, I think I'd be good at it. Yeah. And I feel like I said it out loud, and someone was like, I've never heard that come out of someone's mouth before. It's either the Jack Daniels talking or just me being fed up with life. So might be
I
a
mean, both can be true.
So yeah, that's legit. And the next morning, that's what I did. I was like, wrestling schools in New Jersey. Like,
Nice.
yeah, that was, what year are we in? 2024. That was 4 years ago.
Okay, so I'm kind of in the same boat, right? I had just graduated college,
Mhm.
and I was trying to figure out like what's the next step, right? And I kind of had an idea of a direction that I wanted to go in, but I just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I was working at this. I was at the gym, like working out, and I saw this kid with the John Cena shirt, and I just started talking to him about wrestling. And you know how you get that feeling, like because you watch wrestling, you just the
Yeah.
fan in you like lights up. I
Yeah,
was
you
like,
get like giddy.
yeah, and I was like, I feel like I kind of need to do this. And so
Yeah.
I actually started working for Kraft Heinz, right? So Kraft mac and cheese and Heinz ketchup. And
Mhm.
I randomly saw that person again in a grocery store, and I walked
Oh,
up and I was like, yo, what do you do? I was like, obviously I see you with the bread. What do you do? And they're like, he's like, oh, I'm a pro wrestler. A wrestler. And I was like WWE pro
right.
wrestling? And he's like, well, not exactly. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
you're in a yard. And he's like, yeah. I was like, how do I get there? And
Mhm.
then he was like, oh, well, I have, come check out the show. He had a pamphlet on, of course, because Chris Idol always does. So he hands me his thing. I had a flyer, so I went to the show and I watched it, and I kind of felt I was like, yo, I want to do this. So then I asked him, I was like, yo, how do I get into this? And he was like, well, you can come check it out next month, and we'll see what we can do. Um, and then for like 10 months, that's what I did. Then I got trained. I went and got trained by Sickened, actually.
Oh,
You know,
nice.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I got trained by Sickened, and then I started running from there and started doing my own thing and just trying to figure out the business from there. Uh, but yeah, it was 2020 when I started. Like I got
Yeah.
I got debt stop from COVID too.
Yeah, right before the world shut down is when I started. So it's like it started and then just came to an abrupt halt. I was like, okay, great. Like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, okay, well then when the time stopped, right? When the world stopped and we
Hmm.
couldn't do anything, what did you do to like continue progressing or did you just stop?
I watched a lot of YouTube, and I actually by the time the world did shut down, I had made some connections with like other wrestlers, and we all stayed in touch, and they showed me some things. You know, people were having like secret shows, and going to those and things like that. And I actually watched a lot of Santino Bros on YouTube because they had so many like tutorials on how to do stuff. And I was like, oh, that's how you do a forward roll, like all this stuff. Because I've never done that stuff before. I grew up like playing basketball and being like a stoic tree and don't fall down. And all of a sudden it's fall down. So
Yeah.
it didn't come super naturally to me at first. So yeah, it was a whole lot of YouTube videos.
So what's so funny was when the world shut down, that's exactly what I did too. I started looking at YouTube videos, just trying to understand concepts,
Yeah.
mechanics, like where hand placements were, where foot
Yep.
placement was, because obviously that's like super important too. So I started studying. And then we started this podcast where like we would come and talk to wrestlers, and lo and behold, we actually brought on Joey Munoz onto the show.
Ah,
Yeah, and had a conversation with him, and I was, I was so elated when I got to talk to him
that's awesome.
and yeah, pick his brain and stuff. And I was like, oh my god, like so. Yeah, it was great being able to chat with him and stuff like that. But yeah, and I told him I was like, yo, like I don't, you probably hear this a lot, but I just want to tell you this, like on my show, like your videos are the reason why like I continue to push towards wrestling.
Yes. Yeah, they kept me, I don't want to say interested, but like just kept my mind in it kind of. And it's like, oh, they have a how to on like a DDT and a how to on this and like all that stuff. And I was like, oh, like all the thought that goes into every single move and everything is just, it was mind blowing to me. So
Yeah, it
yeah.
was so like I made it my goal that I wanted to accomplish one new skill while I was in like during the pandemic. I wanted to learn one new skill like while I was doing stuff. So I learned how to kip up during the
Oh, okay.
pandemic. So I like practiced every day, like, and we're talking like weeks of me practicing. And like we're talking like maybe like 20 minutes. And I don't know. I just maybe I didn't understand the mechanics of like the timing. And I wasn't doing I be fair, I wasn't doing every day, right? I was probably like, I'd probably try for like 30 minutes and then I wait like a couple days and I try again. And it went on for like yeah, it went on for like 20 days. And I remember popping up and landing the first one. I was like, oh, I was like, that's a one-time thing. I probably won't do it again. And then I
Right.
started hitting them consistently, and I was like, "Oh, I'm totally hitting this in a match now."
I have to do this. This is what I do now.
Yeah, I figured this out. I've learned. I've mastered this technique now, and I'm about to go start doing it. And then
Yes.
and then I found out everybody learned how to kip up over the pandemic.
It was the one skill that everybody learned.
It was like we all just like all wrestling just got together and was like, we're all gonna learn how to
We're
kip up.
up.
Yeah, we're all gonna do it. So I was like, damn it. Thought I learned something cool, but oh well. It's like, but whatever. I hit now I do it now, like because a lot of people don't realize they're like, well, they're like, you're not that. I was like, dude, I'm turning 39 this year. And so like I'll be laying on the ground just flat out and then I'll kip up and people are just like, are you sure you're 39? I was like,
Did you count?
yeah, I'm probably not mentally there, but I'm definitely physically there. Like I can feel it.
Oh, all that
Yo,
matters.
okay, so I promised I wouldn't ask this question, right? But like there had to been probably like a moment like in wrestling where you were like not in wrestling, but like watching wrestling as a fan where you're like, I could do that. Like I'm gonna go do that.
um, I think watching a lot of the bigger people do things, I'm like, I could do that. Like watching like Kane do anything. I'm just like, I could do those things. Like, watch, the divas, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna do that. Like, that's not me. That's like, I wouldn't do that. But yeah, it was all watching like the bigger guys do stuff, and then watching, Awesome Kong do stuff. And I was like, "Ah, I could do that. Like, I could be Awesome Kong, like all this stuff. But yeah, it's just I was always amazed that like these bigger people are moving the way that they do and doing the things that they do.
Yeah.
Because being in sports like my whole life, because I've been bigger my whole life. So being in sports and also being a bigger person, you're kind of told like you can't do certain stuff. But then like I get into wrestling and they're like, nah, you're gonna do this, you're doing this, you're awesome, like your body size is like you look great, all this stuff. And I'm like, what is this whole new world that I have just like come into? So
What are all these compliments that are being thrown in my direction? I don't understand.
like, what are you saying? But
It was funny because, like, for me, I think, like, especially when I wanted to do a kip up, right? I saw the
mhm.
Miz do it, and I've been
Oh,
watching the Miz for like ever, right? Since like the Miz joined for like Tough Enough
yeah.
Celebrity Edition, and he never hit one, and then randomly he hit this like bullshit ass one, and I remember the fans calling him out, but he like I forget. I think the next day he put out the definition of a kip up and then did a video where he's like, I literally did the definition of a kip up. And I was like, well, if the Miz can do a kip up, so can I.
Right.
And then I saw Drew hit one and I was like, I definitely can hit one. So like that's what motivated me to like learn how to do it. I think I think in the moment where I was looking back and I was like, yo, I think I can do this, right? And I think I can be somewhat decent at it. Um I remember watching The Rock back in 2011, right when he came back as the guest host, and I thought about that moment, and I was like, "Dang, like that's great character work." And I was like, the fact that this man literally was connecting with the crowd, talking about how he's like, "I have goosebumps," right, and all this stuff, and then watching Cena, and I was like, I started realizing like, yo, these guys are hitting like the same 6 or 7 moves, but they're
Yes.
really good. I was like,
Right.
I can do that. And that's when I told myself, I was like, I'm gonna learn how to do this. So
Legit. I like to call all of us just like athletic theater kids. Like we're here to tell a story, and it could be the same three moves the whole match, but like it'll be the match of the night somehow. And it's like, oh, well, it's because I made y'all feel something that you didn't think you were going to come in here and feel. So I just think it's such a different animal from anything else that I've ever been a part of.
yeah,
Wow.
and Chaz, the other person that runs the Three Count podcast,
Hmm.
he's a theater kid, and he talks about that all the time. He's like, oh yeah, theater kids are the best at doing this kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I'm not a theater kid. I did one play one time. I was like, but I was in Glee Club. For those who don't know, now you know. I was in Glee Club, so I know how to like put on big faces and like
Yeah.
perform. So I was like,
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is, right?
yeah, it's a big performance. Like it's what it uh how to stage combat. Like it's stage combat, like combat
Mhm.
like for the crowd. But I love the fact that we get to include like the crowd. Like I mean, like let's be real. Like if it's Romeo and Juliet, like clearly when there's like the big fight scene, like
Yep.
the crowd's not cheering one way or another, but we get to do that with the crowd, and I think that's what's so much fun. But it's also something I find so unique because like the crowd will boo the shit out you and be like, "That wasn't even real." I was like, I low key want to stop matches sometime and be like, "Bro, you wouldn't go to Hamilton and tell Lin Manuel Miranda that he's not really Alexander Hamilton."
Yeah.
Like
I
you
love people
don't
say that because usually I'm like, do you want to come in here and do it? No? All right, then. Like,
you want yeah, I only imagine for like you like picking a like hearing a dude be like, you didn't even really slam it hard. Like, why don't you come in here? And then pick the dude up again and then slam him again harder. And then they'll be like, no, I'm good. Be like, that's
no,
what I
I'm all
thought,
right.
asshole.
Right. Yeah, you're good in your seat.
Yeah, you stay there. Get on Twitter. Talk about how I'm unsafe
Right.
because I slammed your
Love
favorite person out twice.
that. I love that.
So you've been in for about 4 years, going into your fifth, right? So I'm just kind of curious. And I don't know, so I'll ask the question the way I want to ask it. But what's the worst bump you've taken?
So, someone asked me that the other day, and I don't take crazy bumps. That's kind of the good thing about being a bigger person in the ring, that you don't take too many bumps. But I'm just gonna say, like, on the apron, like,
Mm,
just being slammed on the apron, like, no, thank you.
I've, I've taken a
my
couple of those.
Yeah, my back said, like, fuck you. The
It was
next
just
day,
like,
it hurt a little bit. So.
oh yeah, I remember. I was in a match with a good friend of mine, Andino, and he told me to hit him with a back body drop, and we were on a low boy,
Oh,
and I didn't move my arm out fast enough, and when I dropped him, my elbow hyperextended.
oh my
And,
god.
yeah, and I remember, like, being in a match, and he's like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm fine." I was like, feel my fingers. Things were kind of, like, a little bit on fire, but they weren't, like it
Hmm.
wasn't bad. So, like,
Right.
I was like, alright, yeah, I'm fine." And we wrestled the whole match, and he was, like, amazed that I, like, continued, like, wrestling at, like, the pace that we were going, and we were also trying to keep safe, right? But he was like, "Yeah, bro." He's like, "I got spine busted by one arm." Like, he's like, "I've never had that happen before." He's like, "Cliff picked me up, legitimately picked me up with one arm." And he's like, "I'm not a light guy." He's like, "You just picked me
That
up
is
and slammed me."
it, man. That.
I, I think that probably I'll tell you, my worst bump was in March of 2020.
Hmm.
Um, right before the world shut down, I wanted to try Akira Tozawa's giant senton
Okay.
on the edge of the ring, like right next to the ropes. And I didn't realize like you had to jump out further, right? I just dropped,
Yeah.
and yeah, no, that sucked because it was in a winter time too still, and it was like 20 degrees outside, and the ring was cold, and I was like,
Yeah.
I learned a valuable lesson that day.
Good choices all around.
Yeah, it was just great. And my trainer asked me too. He was like, he goes, "Did we learn something today?" And I was like, "Yeah, never again,
We
never
learned
again."
so many things.
Big mistakes were made right now.
Right. God. Yeah. I mean, that sounds about right. And then the world shut down. See what happens.
Yeah. So I learned a lesson right when the world shut down.
Oh gosh.
It was wild too. You know what's funny about the whole thing is I remember sitting there reading the newspaper right before the world shut down, right?
Mhm.
And anybody who goes checks out USA Today will know this happened. But Kobe Bryant died the day that COVID was announced. Like where like China had announced cases of COVID and like
Yeah.
Kobe had died the same day. We're all so focused on Kobe. We missed this.
Yeah. We're just woo.
Yeah.
Those
Everybody's
were our
like,
priorities. We're like Kobe, COVID.
yeah. I was like, and depending on where you were in the United States, like you thought they started with the same letters, like Kobe, COVID, like it's right there. Like we just we just stuck with the one KOB first.
I remember hearing about Kobe. I was like, wait, I really thought it was a joke. I'm like, no way. Like, that can't be. That
Yeah,
was bad. Oh, God.
that was. I remember when the guy said to me, and I just felt like the world stopped around me. I was like,
Yeah.
damn. I was like,
It's funny because, like, I'm a huge basketball fan. I was never like huge into like the Lakers or Kobe, but I was just like, oh my, like, why am I feeling emotions right now that, like, oh my, like, this basketball icon just taken away. Oh my goodness. It was
yeah,
nuts.
yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. I remember like I was like, bro, like I didn't like I was a fan of Kobe's, like I gave him like a lot of respect, but
Yeah.
he was a Laker for his whole career, and I looked at him like I hate you because I'm a Nuggets fan, and I was like, I did not appreciate you guys bouncing us out of the Western Conference Finals, but
Not
you got to give respect, like because even to this day, right? This would be funny, and I'll share this with everybody too. I've never told this story, so this will be the first time you
Mhm.
get to hear this one. Uh, But so Western Conference Finals are going on, right? And that was the night that uh I think it was game 4. It might have been game 3 was going on with the Nuggets, right?
Mhm.
And they were playing in Denver. And yeah, we were in Denver. And so Raw was supposed to be that same night. But Stan Kuroki, the guy who owns the Rams now, right? He owned the Nuggets at the time and know they owned the Colorado Avalanche. He told Raw to piss off. He was like, "Yo, fuck off! Like you're not gonna do a show here. We're having a basketball game." But they had
Yeah,
already signed a contract with the Pepsi Center that they were gonna do Raw, and he's like, "No, no, no, you guys gotta go." Didn't try to find him another arena, nothing. Just threw him to the wolves, right?
yeah.
And WWE didn't even panic. They just, they're like, whatever. You want us to do a joint statement that you tried to help us, but you didn't. Um, and so they were at the Staples Center,
Mhm.
and anybody who watched that show that night knew what was going to happen. They made fun of Stan Kuroki, right? They beat him up.
Of
Stan Kuroki at that. Enos at that. Uh, and then that was the main event where the Lakers and the Nuggets went 5-on-5 in the main event, and John Cena was there with the Lakers. And what happened? The Nuggets lost the next 4 games, and we
oh,
got bounced from the playoffs.
oh man, right in the heart.
Yeah, Hassan was like, "Oh, Stan, you have no idea what you did.
Really.
You
Like
you fucked us so bad because of
you
this."
fucked up.
Like everything went to hell because of you. They did 3 segments making fun of the Nuggets. We were in the main event. Cody, Cody Big Show. Who was the other one that was there? Ted DiBiase Jr., Randy Orton, and there was somebody else. I can't remember who the other one was because on the other side you had Kennedy, MVP, John Cena, Batista, and Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah,
Jerry Lawler. I was like, he didn't even do anything in the match. He hit one punch and then that was it. They went home.
that's what he's good for. Just getting in there, getting out.
But it was a difficult lesson to learn. I was like, I hate the fact that our owner just sold us out like that.
Yeah, for real. Damn, they made you look like clowns.
They did. They really did.
So Nuggets fan. I don't think I've ever met a Nuggets fan.
Well, honestly, I was born in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So, yeah, and so a lot of my teams all reside out of the Colorado. I'm a Broncos fan. For all those going to make fun of me, be like, oh yeah, you know, Bronco County, let's ride. He's not even on the team no more. You can move on. He's a Steeler now. At that, I think he's a backup now. uh, yeah. So Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies. But college football wise, I'm a Huskers fan, and then college basketball, men's basketball at that. I'm a Duke fan. So
Oh my God, Tar Heel.
dang, that's crazy. No wonder why we have so much like. Sometimes we have weird animosity. I think about there was a commercial a while ago when they were promoting a tournament, and I don't know if you remember this, but they had scientists like injecting mice with like
Yeah.
one was like Tar Heel blood and Duke blood and put him in the cage.
I'm like too far here, guys.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? If that commercial was made today,
Right.
whoever approved that commercial was definitely getting fired, and that company was getting canceled. Like it wasn't ever gonna fly.
They'll never see show business again.
Never. Yo, well, okay. So speaking of not ever seeing show business, what's the hardest lesson you've had to learn being in the business?
Oof, don't trust anybody. Or be selective with who you trust.
Mm,
And don't take notes and advice from every because not everybody has your best interest at hand. But I kind of knew that anyway, just from life,
yeah,
going in. But I think it's even more prevalent because everyone tries to put their 2 cents in with whatever it is you're doing, and they'll try to sway you certain ways, out of doing stuff. But I don't know. I feel like you gotta believe in what you're doing, like really hard. Almost obsess about it. So I've learned to kind of be obsessed with myself, so no one can fuck with me.
but it's one of those things too where you have to be your own cheerleader, and it's something I say to a lot of my clients and stuff like that. I was like, they'll be like, "Yo, I'm not able to do this," or one person, like one of my clients will always be like, "Oh, I'm really fat." And I'm like, "Listen, there's a lot of haters in this world, and you shouldn't be one of them. Like, you
Mhm.
have to be your own cheerleader." Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I always say, like, anytime I wear my own merch, I'm like, I'm such a mark for myself. I love it. I'm like,
like I'm wearing my stuff right now.
yeah, yes, exactly. Like, who's gonna be, my biggest cheerleader? It has to be me, because
hmm
everyone wants to hate on everybody. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just heading. I think about it too, where it's like I got my own goals, my own priorities, and if
yeah,
you want to hang on the train and chill with me, hey, by all means, hang out. But if at some point in time think I don't like Cliff, hey, just hop off. Like,
yeah, you
I'm
can
not
leave.
gonna. This train's not stopping. You're gonna have to jump and roll, but I got things to do. I got places to go.
I know. And a lot of people think that everyone has the same goals and the same dreams, like in the business. And it's like, not go to WWE. Not everyone wants to go to AEW. Everyone has their own, shit that they want to do. So, you know, you got,
And
ugh.
for some people, it's legit. Just I just want to get in a ring, and
Yeah.
I just want to wrestle. I want to be a weekend person, or I want to make I want to
Mm-hmm.
make this a career without having to go to like a major brand, right? Like look at like Effie, right? Effie is a perfect
Yes.
example. Ali Catch is another one,
Yeah.
right? They're not
Mm-hmm.
signed, but they're known everywhere in the wrestling community.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people mistake not being signed to a major promotion as being a failure almost. And I'm like, no, like there are so many success. I mean, everyone has their own definition of success, but there's so many successful people that just do like indie stuff and they're happy doing that. And that's fucking awesome. I love that. I love
Yeah.
it.
Hey, so we're gonna go from here to my favorite segment of the Three Count Podcast, and that's the Three Count Podcast, 10 count questions, and Ms. Chaos. This is how it works. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you, rapid fast, and whatever your answer is, that's your answer.
No. Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna put on the imaginary timer for added pressure.
Oh, good.
Bing. And in the words of my favorite commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
Raw.
Favorite movie?
My cousin Vinny.
I love that movie. Marvel or DC?
DC.
Favorite TV show?
Oh, Schitt's Creek.
Dude, yes.
Yeah.
yes. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Favorite cartoon?
Oh, Simpsons.
It's a good one. Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles.
Favorite podcast?
3 count.
That's right. It's the only answer that people should be. We
That's
will. Yeah, that's it. We'll accept the Joe Rogan experience and Chris Van Vliet's insight, but after that, no, the 3 count. Nominate one person that you want to see on this show.
Brian Baum.
I like it. I like it. And last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show: favorite curse word.
Fuck.
This is the best. This is the best word to use.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
Always, always. And one of my favorite things about it too is that there's a. I don't know if you remember the YouTube video. There's like the history of the F word. It's, bruh. I tell people all the time. Tell people all the time. I was like, go check out that. Go check out that video. It's the best 2 minutes and like 39 seconds you'll ever have in your life.
You learn so much.
Yo, so those are all my questions I have for you. So the last thing I need is for you to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
On all social media platforms, X, Twitter, IG, I am at Real Sammy Chaos. I have all my links on my Instagram. Please buy my merch and support. God damn it.
Bet. Well, she gave you all the hands. She told you to buy her merch. And so what does that mean? Like every great part of a wrestling match, we gotta take this home because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Into the Ring, and I'm your host, Clifford the Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And like every good show, it's never about me; it's about who's into the ring. So who's into the ring? Woo! You see her right there, Sammy Chaos, and you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately following us on all of our social media platforms. You're checking us out on Spotify. You're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're even listening to us on Amazon Music, leaving those 5-star frog splash reviews off the top rope on Apple Podcasts. You're even checking us on that one app with the dumb jingle that goes iHeartRadio or whatever it is. Right? You're picking up all of our merch on foryourwear.com or checking us out on, you know, prowrestlingtees.com. You're telling your mom about us, you're telling your dad about us, you're telling your aunties, your uncles, you're telling your cousins about us, your brothers, your sisters, you're telling your best friends, your worst friends, those enemies of yours, because we love haters too. So you're doing that stuff, or really you're just kind of waiting for this episode to end, you're waiting for that outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kawaii. What's going on? It is Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And what we need from you guys is to kind of show some support, right? We want you guys to go to our YouTube channel at the 3 Count Podcast, go on to our Twitch channel, 3 Count Pod, or even our Facebook page, 3 Count Podcast, and just give us a like, follow, subscribe, even give us a comment, right? Do all that cool stuff. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies, right? Or you can even come talk to us and just chat us up, right? Find us on Twitter at 3count_pod. Find us on IG and on TikTok at 3 Count Pod. Go ahead and leave us those comments. We want to hear from all of you guys. We're going to keep putting on videos and stuff like that. We want to keep making this content better, so we want your guys' support. Also, if you guys want to, go support us at prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Podcast, or even find us on foryourwear.com. Give us the support. Show us your guys' love, because we want to give it right back to y'all. So, in the meantime, between time, love y'all.